Did you know there's a hidden force in your brain that shapes pretty much every decision you make, from your health to your career, and it does it all without you even realizing it? So today, we're going to pull back the curtain on this powerful illusion and figure out how to actually use it to our advantage.
All right, to kick things off, let's start with a simple little puzzle. It's one of those questions that, when you first hear it, kind of makes no sense at all, but it reveals something huge about how our minds work.
Now, seriously, think about it for a second. Friday is a work day, right? You're still on the clock. Sunday is supposed to be the ultimate day of rest and freedom. So why does the end of the work week feel so much more exciting than a day when you don't have to do anything at all? The answer, it turns out, has nothing to do with the day itself.
See, Friday is just brimming with anticipation. Our minds are laser-focused on all the good stuff that's coming up, the weekend. But on Sunday, even while we're relaxing, our brain starts to shift. We start thinking about the work week just around the corner. The key difference isn't what we're doing, it's what we expect to happen next. And that feeling? Well, that's a clue to something much, much bigger going on inside our heads.
That amazing feeling of looking forward to the weekend isn't just a random mood. It's actually the result of a powerful, deeply ingrained feature of the human brain. It's called the optimism bias.
And I want to be clear, this isn't just about wishful thinking. Neuroscientist Tali Sharot, whose work this is all based on, she defines it as a very real, documented cognitive bias. Our brains are systematically, physically wired to expect a brighter future, whether that's realistic or not.
And here's where it gets really fascinating. This optimism bias is universal. I mean, studies show it's in little kids, it's in the elderly, it cuts across all cultures, all backgrounds. It's not something you learn, it's a fundamental piece of a healthy, functioning human brain. It's basically part of our standard factory settings.
Okay, so you might be asking, why? Why are our brains built this way? Well, it turns out this little mental quirk is actually one of our greatest superpowers. It doesn't just help us predict the future, it can literally help us create it.
Let's look at a classic example. Picture this, it's 1987. The LA Lakers just won the NBA championship. Their coach, Pat Riley, gets up in front of this huge crowd of fans and does something no coach had done in almost 20 years. He guaranteed they would win it all again the next year. It was an absolutely audacious claim.
Now, that ridiculously optimistic prediction became the spark for what we call a self-fulfilling prophecy. Just believing in that positive outcome completely changed how the team behaved. They worked harder, they played better, and in the end, that belief drove them to make the impossible actually happen.
It's a simple loop, but it is so powerful. First, you start with a positive belief. We can do this. Then, that belief changes your behavior. It motivates you to put in the work. And finally, all that effort helps turn the belief into reality. Your expectation literally helps shape the outcome.
And this goes way beyond the basketball court. This superpower of optimism is directly tied to some incredible real-world benefits. The science is pretty clear. Optimists tend to be healthier, more successful in their careers, and yep, they even live longer.
But like any good superpower, it has a vulnerability. There's a kryptonite. If you let it go unchecked, optimism can make us completely blind to some very real dangers. This is what researchers call our bias blind spot. I love this analogy. Optimism is like red wine. A healthy dose is great for you. It motivates you, it keeps you pushing forward. But drink the whole bottle in one sitting, that's when it becomes hazardous to your health, your money, and your relationships.
For instance, let's talk about the divorce rate. In many Western countries, the statistic hovers right around 42%. It's a well-known, well-documented number.
And yet, what do you think happens when you ask newlyweds to estimate their own chance of getting a divorce? What do they say? 0%. That massive, gaping chasm between the statistical reality and our personal belief, that, right there, is the optimism bias in action.
And you see this blind spot everywhere. We underestimate our risk of getting sick, so maybe we skip a checkup. We underestimate the chance of losing a job, so we don't save enough money. This bias even affects huge projects, like the Sydney Opera House. Its planners were so optimistic, it went over budget by more than 1,400%.
So let me be clear, the goal isn't to get rid of optimism. It's way too valuable for that. The key is just to understand it so we can harness its power without getting burned.
Think of the difference like this. Healthy optimism is what motivates you to put on your running shoes and actually go for a jog. Hazardous optimism is that little voice that convinces you that you can run a marathon tomorrow with absolutely no training. One drives real action, the other leads to bad planning and ignoring very real risks. It's a fine line, but it's a critical one. So really, the big takeaway is just awareness. Simply knowing that your brain has this little quirk allows you to account for it. It means you can embrace all the hope that drives you forward while still being smart enough to put on your seatbelt. You can hope for the best while you plan for reality.
And that leaves us with one final thought. We know for a fact that our brains are naturally wired to create hope, to look for a positive future. So the question is no longer if you have this power, it's how are you going to use it?